So, Ross, I'm just curious. You asked us a pretty good question, and you massaged it a little, and you got your answer. Let me turn it on you. Did the Bears draft the wrong quarterback, in your opinion?
Yes. Yeah, I would say yes. Like I would take Jayden Daniels 10 times out of 10 over Caleb Williams. Now, the reason why I say that is Jayden Daniels is already a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Caleb is not a top 20 quarterback in the NFL, right? So unless Jayden Daniels takes a step back, what are the odds that Caleb becomes a top 10 quarterback? Now, that being said, the thing that's in the Bears' favor and in Caleb's favor is last year I thought C.J. Stroud had the best rookie season I've ever seen for a quarterback, ever. I mean, to lead the NFL in yards passing per game and touchdown-interception ratio, only been done two other times, Tom Brady and Joe Montana, and then C.J. Stroud last year as a rookie. And I also thought Bryce Young was clearly the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. And now this year, I don't know, they kind of were about similar. They kind of were even. So while I would take Jayden Daniels 10 times out of 10 over Caleb Williams, the reality is, let's say Jayden Daniels is, I'm just throwing numbers out there, the 8th best quarterback in the NFL and Caleb's 23rd. I'm just throwing it out there. That's much less ground to make up than Stroud being like 5th last year and Bryce Young being 32nd. And now both those guys might be around 15th or 16th with the way they played this year. So it can happen with the right coaching, but two things had to happen for that to be the case, right? C.J. Stroud had to really take a step back, and Bryce Young had to really take a step forward. That would have to be the case again for Caleb Williams to be a better quarterback than Jayden Daniels next year.
Quickly before I let you go, Ross, really appreciate your time. Two quick questions. Number one, would you had the same answer last April? And number two, tell us about myfrontpagestory.com.
I did have the same answer last April, David, and I think we've talked about this because for whatever reason, every guy that came on my show either said they liked Daniels more or they sounded like they did. I mean, Greg Cosell and Orlovsky and Louis Riddick and Phil Simms and Chase Daniel and Sean King. I was actually, I don't go back and watch these kids. I don't pretend to be a quarterback guru. I was really struck. I mean, they all said that Jayden Daniels was the best pocket passer, was the best pure progression reader. We can see he's a better runner than Caleb Williams. The advantage that Caleb had is his unique ability to make incredible throws with ball placement on the move. And I think that they thought that was where Caleb Williams had the edge. But, without studying those guys, David, based on what those guys had said to me, based on all the guys that are quarterback gurus, I definitely was higher on Daniels than I was on Caleb Williams going into the draft last year. And then for my front page story, it's really simple, right? I have a buddy who's a big David fan, and he thought, you know what? Can you imagine how cool it would be if you could have a guy like David write a story about how amazing your wife is for Valentine's Day? That's basically you're the. I'm kidding a little bit, but that's the deal. I mean, you can have the best Valentine's Day gift ever. Have a writer, a professional writer, write a story. It looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper. Framed pictures of your wife or significant other, the kids. Quotes from you and the kids saying she's the greatest wife ever, she's the greatest mom ever. I guarantee your wife will cry and she'll say, this is the best gift you've ever given me. myfrontpagestory.com, myfrontpagestory.com. It's amazing.
Awesome.
Great stuff, Ross. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ross.
All right, see you guys.
That is Ross Tucker. Wow. Huh?
Interesting perspective. Yeah, he definitely is all in on Jayden Daniels over Caleb Williams, which is not the hardest argument to make this morning. Certainly Jayden Daniels being a top 10 quarterback. I'd have to start ranking them, but I think that I understand where that is coming from. He probably would be based on this year alone. And I don't agree with him on the Patriots search being worse than the Bears process. I think the Patriots are worthy of criticism because of the way they circumvented the process and mocked the Rooney Rule. I don't like that at all for what it says about the Rooney Rule. But I also believe that if that were the Bears, if that were the team that you were following and you were a fan of that team and you saw them do whatever they needed to do to get their guy, wouldn't that make you pleased? Wouldn't you be more outcome biased?
Yeah, I would not argue with that. I think that Ross Tucker is getting killed on our text line.
I know.
And he's getting killed because he basically said that Jayden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams.
Right.
And that's why people are getting upset about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know that you can argue that.
Not this year.
No.
But I think two things can be true, and this is where I think the debate comes in. There is no debate that Jayden Daniels had a better rookie season and is a better quarterback right now than Caleb Williams.
Mm-hmm.
We could debate whether or not the Bears made the wrong pick, because I do think that you could justify believing that Caleb Williams will still have a better career.
So had they hired Dan Quinn instead of Matt Eberflus, would Caleb have had a better year? Had they hired Cliff Kingsbury instead of Shane Waldron, would Caleb have had a better year?
Those are great questions. And those are great. See, making it clear that you think Jayden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams, I think disregards the fact that Caleb Williams had a disadvantage because he came to a organization that does not know how to develop quarterbacks.
He came to a place that we said at the time was the best situation a number one overall pick quarterback had ever come into.
I agree. I remember, and I am willing to acknowledge that we were more wrong about that than we were about Caleb Williams. That'd be my contention. Maybe we were dead wrong on both, and we're too blinded by potential, whatever. But I think that where the misread was that we trusted the Bears to do what they never have done, and it wasn't the most conducive. Actually, it was what maybe.
Turns out Washington was a much better place to go.
Yes, without doubt.
312-644-6767. Have you concluded that Jayden Daniels better, greater than sign Caleb Williams? Have you made that conclusion, or does that upset you? And are you now bad-mouthing Ross Tucker because he said so?